When you see a no entry sign, that's your warning. That's where I want you all to experience what it's like when there's no ventilation. This mine dates back to the 1950s.
From the 1950s. On a typical workday here in the mine, roughly how much progress could you make? How many meters? In your mining career, have you ever experienced or witnessed any accidents?
That's an everyday occurrence.
When you feel the urge to go to the bathroom here in the mine, to do your
Business? Exactly. Normally,
what was the noise like in the mine? Was it deafening from all the drilling?
yes, the ventilation.
Today, we're going deep into a mine with a former miner,
People also had a habit of keeping things here, holding onto them tightly.
a true expert in this underground world.
They usually say that the name of the mine is female, and it devours the men. That's what they used to say when I was young. And they also told me, do you see that hole? Enter from the street. After my shower, they'd say, see the houses and cars through that hole? Earn them.
Thanks to Rodrigo, better known as Bogui, we've been able to explore the inside of a large abandoned mine. Well, he answered all my questions, like what was the daily routine in the mine, from the moment they entered until they left? How many hours did they spend in there? Where did they eat? Something that until now was completely unknown to me is no longer a mystery, thanks to Alberto and Bogui. Take a seat, because this man has a lot to tell us. Before we begin, my sincerest thanks to David and Alberto from Forgotten Mines for making this report possible.
El Bierzo, the mountainous region of Leon, hides beneath its beautiful green landscape the inexhaustible wealth of its coal deposits. Torre del Bierzo is one of the most active towns in the mining basin of Leon. In the early hours of the morning, the miners gather in front of the mine. They start turning on their lamps as they get ready to begin their work. The mouth of the mine forms a small tunnel through which the miners enter. Here lies the uncertain border that separates daylight from darkness.
You know, I always like to give you some context. So, where am I? Here's the map. I'm gonna avoid giving the exact location to protect the machinery that's still left inside here. But I can tell you that we are in a mining operation with nearly 300 kilometers excavated into the mountain, of which we are gonna walk 9 kilometers, starting right here. Once inside the mine, your phone becomes useless since any signal disappears due to the tons of rock surrounding us on the sides, floor, and ceiling. And before I forget, who is the miner that's with us?
My name's Rodrigo Empanera, but everyone calls me Bogui. I've been involved in mining for 25 years, 15 of those working underground. The rest I've spent working in open pit mining, and I've also worked in different areas, like with trucks and all that.
On a typical workday here in the mine, more or less, I'm guessing it depends on the mine and the people, but how much progress could you make? How many meters?
Well, it really depends on the human teams you have working. If you have, for example, 2 pairs of drillers, they work in pairs.
In pairs, right?
Yes. A driller and a driller's assistant to advance the tunnels. They can advance 2.40 meters.
Per day?
Per day as one is when you set off the blast, that is, when the drill holes explode with the dynamite inside, those 2.40 meters break off cleanly, because sometimes it doesn't break off well. And you have to drill that part again and all that breaks off.
Cleanly?
Breaking off when it explodes so that the face that's left is clear for advancing, the free face that's left. Just imagine, the tunnel ends here now, drill 240, it has to break off all of this, you know? The rock, yeah. And once you have all the holes, you take a stick of dynamite, put a detonator in it, which is a little capsule with pintrite, you put it in, it comes out with 2 wires, and you stick it in there. Then, using a blaster machine, you send a current through, and that detonator is what makes the explosive go off.
And of course, I guess this is risky. In your mining career, have you ever experienced or witnessed any accidents?
Yeah, I've been through a couple of accidents, even though obviously you never want to see them or go through them. That's just part of the job. One happened at a company where, while trying to recover a prop, the props are on the ramp where you dig, you usually support the roof with props. A stick like this, literally just a stick and a frame. So you make props with railroad ties, those railroad ties you see on the tracks. You set them up in a square and you keep stacking them up to the ceiling and wedge them in. Well, here, instead of those props, we had these inflatable mattresses.
Wow, that's interesting.
Made of canvas, really tough. So what happens? When you deflated them to move them forward as you advanced, because you couldn't just leave them there or the ceiling would collapse, the roof would fall on top of the mattress and you had to pull it out. Because if you didn't take it out, the boss would dock your pay. If you can even call him a boss, he was just some shady guy. He was an exploiter. A real exploiter. We used to work 14, 15 hours there. It was insane. So when we were pulling him out, my coworker put his legs in to help with the collapse. And when he pulled, everything came down on top of his legs.
Wow, that's rough.
And to get him out, it's a real struggle because you only have 80 centimeters, 70 centimeters to work in. A guy who probably weighed 90 or 100 kilos, you had to lower him 30 meters down to the gallery, then get him out of the gallery, and his legs were in terrible shape.
Completely destroyed.
The nerves you feel because he's complaining and all that, and they say you're trained for this, but you never just leave someone there. Everyone always jumps in to help.
And that's because camaraderie is essential, especially in a job like this, since it's so unpredictable. And that's when another question comes to mind. Have you ever feared for your life? Inside the
Mines? Yes, of course. In the coal mines? Well, when I was working there at a company where we were mining a coal seam, the seams are usually a chunk of the layer that hasn't been extracted, and they're dangerous because the roof tends to press down a lot. And you have to send very experienced people to get that out. So we were mining it, we were cutting it with a shearer. We were starting to set up supports. I was just a kid, 19 years old, and I was just starting.
You were 19 years old?
Yeah. I was starting with the supports, what we call here mining slang, singing. When they tighten up, they're hydraulic, they start going pause. It's warning you that a strong jolt could come and you could get crushed like a sandwich. So you had to run out of the ramp as fast as you could. And that happened several days until finally it collapsed. It finally collapsed at night, because usually the mine gives way at night. The mine puts pressure on the roof. You're always walking through the mine and hearing noises. The supports throw off sparks because they're under pressure. The mountain is right above you. So the ramp also gets squeezed and collapses. And this one cracked all the way to the gallery, what we call the wall of the seam, the lower part. It cracked all the way to the gallery and collapsed at night.
But no one was there.
There, if it had caught us there, we would have died.
Luckily, this time it collapsed at night and no one was inside. But it wouldn't be the first time this has happened, even leaving victims behind. But it's not just the miners who fear for their lives. Let's not forget about those who wait outside, not knowing about them, waiting for their shift to end.
So, honey, what time did you get off today? Because it seems to me you got home just a little bit later.
At 4:30.
You live with that anxiety and that fear. You're always on alert, you know? Until you have him home with you, you're on edge and just wishing for early retirement to come.
And here comes a shocking fact. It's not easy to get exact numbers, but it's estimated that around 1,200 people die each year in mining accidents.
At the horseshoe, the one who was extracting with mules too. Damn, I thought he'd always been here. No, on this floor, up and down too.
He is mules for mining.
Downstairs, on the first floor, I uploaded a photo to the group. I don't know if you noticed, that showed them working on the crosscut, and you can see them putting up the iron and wooden supports. You can see the tunnel was narrow. It was a solid tunnel.
And what do you think if we ask about what a workday in the mine is like from the very beginning?
You get to the showers and start joking around with your coworkers.
Do you shower first thing?
You shower first? No, by showers, I mean the changing rooms, the locker rooms.
Yeah, okay.
You have a locker for your clean clothes, and then you walk around naked with your flip-flops, because now the kids are damn it, they don't even shower after playing soccer because they're embarrassed. Kids these days, you go there. You take your clothes down from the hanger, the clothes from the day before.
Hangers in the laundry reel.
That's so they dry because the heat rises, so they dry up there. you put on your clothes for the day. Well, if they're really dirty, you just go with a different style, you know? Underwear, for example, I changed every day. And socks too, because you always end up soaked. And you get dressed. Some people take the chance to have a smoke. Others have a little hot chocolate from the vending machine there, and that's it. Then you go to the workshop, grab your pick. The pick hammer bit, which you had to take out every day to sharpen. And you had to carry it. That was the tool you brought with you. Then you also carry these little oil cans, which were these small tins with oil to put on the hammer every day.
So the tool was the hammer, right?
Heck, yes, the pick hammer. It was a pneumatic hammer that stayed inside. If it broke, you'd pull it out yourself.
But that sledgehammer you mentioned?
That other one, yeah, you have to. You'd go to the workshop to get it. And every day, if you wanted the bit sharpened, of course, so you could break up the coal better. Because if the bit is dull, you can't break anything.
And then you go into the mine, right?
And then you head inside. The supervisor goes in with you. You'd walk in. There were mines where you'd ride in carts up to a certain point, and from there you walk. Usually the work areas or the ramps, whatever you want to call them, were a bit far away. You get there to the gallery and the ramp would be up there and you'd split up into work sections. One person would have 10 meters to dig, another 10 meters, 15 meters, however much each guy could handle. You could never take on more or less than you could actually manage. Well, you'd go up, start digging, and that was it. You'd spend your shift digging. The supervisor would go up and down the ramp in case you needed anything or whatever. Well, it depended on which supervisor, because there were a lot of supervisors who just sat under the table, you know? Slackers, brown nosers.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, there was a lot of bossiness in mining. You'd start here, you'd go, oh, here, I
Laid down.
and he'd go in there. You'd make a little space they called a sobredia. Yeah, man, here. And you lie down there and see, here is wider because they broke through a stone wall. How many hours have you spent in the temple? Damn, 13 or 14. Look, 13 and
14.
that's why I managed to last a month working in my mortuary. Because one day, soaked, every day. All soaked, we'd go in the afternoon to clear, to repair, to post 2 ramps, just a handful of us. And going in at 4 or 5 and coming out at 8 in the morning.
And during those 13, 14 hours, you don't eat or anything, right?
Yes, you eat. But you eat in there, but you eat.
What's the typical food that miners bring?
Miners? Well,
Sandwiches.
salami sandwiches or fruit. And then always bring, well, in the end, not so much milk anymore. Because milk cleans you out, you know? To clean your lungs and all that. I drank milk plain. I mean, straight up, I'd almost drink it as soon as I got there.
Whole milk, right?
Yeah.
Weird.
But anyway, in the end, the sandwiches and the Fantas really take a toll on your stomach too. In the end, the heartburn, hiatal hernias, you know, it's rough. I bring fruit or sometimes nothing at all. While you're mining, you crouch down. With your feet, you kick at the coal and push it along.
Okay, and then?
That's called spurring the coal. You end up working twice as hard.
We kept moving forward through the mine, and honestly, I can't tell you exactly where we were on the map, but suddenly Boggy stopped and explained something really interesting about the iron beams that hold up the mountain's rocks.
See how the plates are pressing down? Basically, over time, like sulfur, this stuff ends up corroding the iron. You can see how the sulfur is eating away at the iron. Eventually, it'll break the iron and this will collapse. Look, I'm going to explain how these frames work. See these clamps? Here's the leg. So this piece of iron is separate from this one. What does this do? This slides. It keeps tightening, making the framework and the frame slides one over the other without actually collapsing, you know? That's the purpose of these clamps. That's why one is more sunken than the other. Right, and same over there. That one is lower than that one. So they're sinking on their all. Of course, because that roof, the crown, has pressed down from there. This is bedrock. There shouldn't be a post here, but there is because the ground is bad. Look, a chisel for the pick hammer, a chisel. See, nice and sharp. You put this into the hammer, you'd cut a finger off the gloves here and here. You put it here, that's the packing, so the head wouldn't come loose, you know? Because when you're hammering, this would loosen up and you'd have to keep tightening it all day. You go looking for gloves like these in the trash to make packing.
That's still a pretty sharp point for all the work it must have done there.
It's the same. They put it in new and that's where it stayed. It looks good. The rats, like when you leave your sandwich down below. Yeah, no.
Were there rats in the mines?
Yeah, and another curious thing about the rats was that they were a hell of an alarm system. If you were around here and saw a rat running for the exit, you'd take off running too.
Because of oxygen?
Because of anything, whatever it might be. Rats have a sense, damn it, they really do. Let's see if we can check out that cool fossil later, Mayor. Where at? Down below, on the second level. There's a fossil with a fern, man, it's amazing.
What the heck? Prehistoric ferns?
You got tons of those. And do you know what this is? Do you know horsetail?
Yeah,
Making me feel bad. Wow, horsetail. A big chunk of anthracite, but
I'm not sure if you can see it well.
look, this one has iron. This is the concrete footing. The base, where a large extraction machine was anchored with bolts. A big winch with a steel cable, which did the job of raising and lowering the wagons down there. Then you take all the coal out on conveyor belts. Yeah, I think the most dangerous part is moving around with the maneuvers in the shafts.
If you could.
Derail, the cable could snap, and the wagons could go rolling down.
Has that ever happened? Yes.
Of course, yes.
That it breaks the.
Steel cable, yes. But if you throw yourself on top of the steel cable, well, just hope the cable doesn't catch you. It'll break you. It blinds you. Look, this cable, this is from the genophone. The genophone is the phone we have in the mine. You have to wind it a few times, right?
We had covered about half the way, but we still had to cross the most dangerous areas, where the weight of the mountain had bent the iron frames. Damn, dude. Look, a San Miguel. It looks like plastic instead of iron.
I'm telling you, I'm shocked. Look, even this, if it falls on your back, damn it.
And walking through these gloomy tunnels, in silence, hearing only the sound of the little streams that have formed inside the mine and the water dripping from the leaks, a question comes to mind. When the mine was active years ago, was the noise here deafening?
Yeah, and the ventilation. Then on the ramp, 7 or 8 jackhammers going at once. You'd end up totally crazy. Just imagine on the ramp, to communicate with the guy above you do signals with your helmet. I was just telling Berto about it earlier. To tell him to pull up, you do this. To pull down and to go up, you do...
Like this.
When you needed to stop because something had happened, or if there was an accident, for example, you'd signal with the jackhammer. You'd make the Panzer stop, the helper who was in the gallery operating the Panzer. And then, well, you'd see what had happened. If you hear a coworker who's chipping away, you don't actually hear him chipping. Look, this has probably been here for years. Just look at it. It's tough. This doesn't rap.
And how is that possible?
Oak.
That's why they say tough as oak, right?
Normally, in a mine where there's a lot of water, they'd use eucalyptus because eucalyptus absorbs a lot of water, you know? It lasts longer. This is a support beam, you know? This is what falls on you. A wedge, a support beam. Thanks to this grill, it didn't fall. It didn't come loose.
Whoa, it was a chunk of rock, right?
Watch out, this way.
Important.
No, this is just this little tunnel because down here, they had to reinforce this like then because down here we already have a brush plant. They didn't use hammers here anymore. So for the brush machines, you have to make bigger tunnels because the coal came out on conveyor belts, you know? Look, this is an old level and the coal would come through here and the belt would unload in. The belt went up through here. All of that was salvage, a relic from way back way.
For plugs or light bulbs or something like that?
Yeah, ceramic, look. This is older than dirt.
I'm looking at what I'm stepping on and it's all coal dust. Yeah.
This is dust from the conveyor belt. It's
fine coal dust.
coal, yeah. This is what gets into your lungs. When you come out, you go like this, pat, pat, and black snot comes out. That green bag is dynamite. It's already empty. Yeah, it's empty, rubber, too eco.
And suddenly we come across a vertical shaft known as a hopper. Through this hole, tons of coal and debris were dumped, which would then be collected below almost 70 meters deep. Bogui wanted to show us an example so we could hear how long it took for the rock to fall.
Down here, it's easily 50 or 70 meters. Of course, now you'd also have to know if there's a lot of debris inside, because that takes away about a meter. Right.
It could be 70 meters or...
No, there's not that much left to reach the first level. I think so. Around 50 or 70.
Are we gonna see that area down below?
Yes, when we go outside to the street.
We shouldn't forget that cave-ins aren't the only danger in the mine. The lack of ventilation in different tunnels can cause oxygen shortages and buildups of carbon monoxide, among other gases. Later on, you'll see how we enter a tunnel where the oxygen runs out to experience what that feels like. Obviously, we wouldn't do this if we weren't supervised by a professional.
With carbon monoxide, for example, you just fall asleep. You start to feel drowsy.
You actually notice that you're getting sleepy. Yeah.
But you know, if you're a little sharp and a little... You think, damn, this doesn't add up. Feeling this sleepy here in the mine. Look, this happened to a coworker in Navaleo. They went into work in the morning, and you went up to the top part of the ramp on one of those levels. Just imagine that level and the one below it. He went to lay down the wood and told 3 others, I'm getting really sleepy. The other guy, of course, caught on right away. He had fallen asleep. Why'd you let him fall asleep? He was out cold. Of course, the other guy picked him up and threw him over his shoulder. The other guy was a huge dude, tough as hell. The faster he ran, the more of a mess he made, and he ended up falling to the ground too, because the contractor passed by and saw him there. They already took him outside, brought him to the hyperbaric chamber and to Vigo, I think, to get cleaned up and all that. And did they
Successfully manage to...
Yeah, I mean, even if.
You drift off, you don't die yet.
No, if you react quickly, you don't, but damn, if your brain goes without oxygen, you end up with serious after effects. What?
That's intense, man. We kept moving forward in the mine, and before reaching the old galleries without ventilation, we came across an old winch.
Of course, this is where they operated it. The shaft goes down there, the shaft continues. Is this a...
Winch?
Yeah, that shaft is new. The wagons are there too. This is an extraction machine, the one that was explained up there on the 2nd floor, which was restored. It was used to lower the wagons with material or to bring up the coal, although in this case it wasn't used for that, because there was a conveyor belt. Lowering material for the advances, for the drillers to lower iron frames, wood or iron for the pickers, etc. For the different levels.
Wow, just take a look at this. We actually found some clear liquid hydrogen peroxide. It's still here, huh? The hydrogen peroxide is right here. What's going on?
Because that wedge is holding it in place. Otherwise, this would really be dangerous.
Yeah.
Let's move quickly.
And now we were about to come across a puddle that contained benzene, a fuel I didn't know was so toxic.
Yeah, because, let's see, this oil, in theory, but there's water. I think it cancels it out. This is the benzene.
Oh, really?
Thing is, it's carcinogenic, because I don't know if the water cancels it out. That's what I don't know. I've already been through there too, you know. I wanted to take you guys over there to... In the end, nothing's gonna happen. What the hell? As long as you're not here every day. Look, that water comes down through a shaft that starts at the peak of the mountain. I mean, it's a tunnel like the one we went into, but it goes in at an angle, you know? It's a hopper shaft. Kind of like what we filmed up above, except those are vertical and this one isn't. This one goes down like this. This water tank was for the drilling.
There are light bulbs over there, huh?
Yeah.
It's kind of dead. What is this doing here, guys? Whoa! Whoa! Ah, damn. Let's do that again. It's kind of weird there. But where did this come from? And now we were on our way to make our most dangerous passage through a collapsed area where the mountain had won the battle against the mine.
Here you'll notice the air's a bit stale. Yeah, go through quickly. You guys are brave, damn it! We're not from Kappa. Also,
Oh,
it's formed another huge vault there.
whoa, yeah.
Of course, because that's where the layer is. You know you have to record this, right? Look at that rock, damn. Look. Careful, careful.
Okay? And now it was finally time to experience it.
I want you all to experience what it's like when there's no ventilation.
Well, it's already 2:15 in the afternoon. We went in around 10:30, maybe 11:45, something like that, into the mine. And honestly, time just flies by in there. No, I want to try, let's see. It says here, no entry. Yeah, actually, if you don't watch your head, you'll end up without a plate. Come on, go over there, honey. Go poke around. Let's go, let's die together. Now, walk a little bit. Can you guys move a bit? You can start to feel it here. Yeah, but breathe through your mouth. That's why. It kind of cuts off your breath, right? Why is there something here? And why right here? This is mainly because there is a certain... The flashlight went out. Do you have my flashlight? No. Whoa, that's intense. I'm going way over there, hum. But it's still there. Yeah. Honestly, I didn't really feel anything special. Maybe if I had stayed a little longer or gone further in, I would have noticed it. But it's better not to take any risks. We left there and I came across a plant that was there before the mountain itself, a fossilized fern. What we're looking at here, these fern fossils, are hundreds of thousands of years old. In fact, they're even millions of years old, because this is what came out from digging inside the mountain's rock. I mean, these ferns were here before the mountain itself. Just imagine how old they must be. Millions and millions of years. Here we found an old pantry where they kept all kinds of tools and materials they used for blasting inside the mine. Hardened cobwebs. Cobwebs and everything in there. Gloves. Is that a Fanta can? Yeah. It's full of stuff, huh? Look, it's got things in it. And then came the awkward question. I see lots of tunnels, different areas with machinery, but no bathrooms. So what do you do when you need to use the bathroom here inside the mine? You do.
Your business. Well, look, usually on the ramp, if you're in narrow layers, you just pull it out, turn to the side, lie down, and pee sideways.
Peeing, that can work.
For the other thing, you have to go down from the ramp, or if you're a driller, leave the cut and go to an old tunnel to do your business. Of course, you need to have toilet paper, obviously, otherwise good luck figuring it out. I'll also tell you, if you do any of that or let out a fart on the ramp, wherever the ventilation goes, the smells go down and someone else gets a whiff.
Wow, hey, that's just a mess with your coworkers, he says.
Now, if the ventilation comes from over there, Alberto lets out a fart and we're the ones who have to deal with it. Damn, yeah, and it doesn't dissipate. Well, back when people used to smoke, because people did smoke in the mine, until the inspectors came and it was banned. Man, you could smell it from a mile away. Maybe if you have really strong ventilation, it would dissipate with the airflow, because in the end, if there's a lot of ventilation, it disperses the gases, whether it's dioxide, monoxide, whatever. And it never failed that when the foreman or an engineer came in, they'd catch the smell in the tunnel. But people still smoked. They smoked.
But about the poop, does the smell still linger anyway? Yes.
Well, you cover it up. You throw a bit of coal dust, the dirt on top, and that's it.
Interesting, to say the least. They probably had to avoid eating too much fabada on work, Dave. We're wrapping up this incredible underground journey, and Bogui shows us a flooded tunnel where the strong orange color stands out because of the iron.
Look at the layer. You can see that's not just a bad layer, it's even worse. It doesn't have a good ceiling, it doesn't have a good wall, so when you put up posts there, it walls everything in, the ceiling drops, and people will get hurt here. Or so I've been told.
Define get hurt.
Get hurt means to have an accident. Well, less water today.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I agree.
On this side? On this side, yes. There's more on that side. Still, these are taken care of. Don't worry.
Whoa, the wagons.
You're going to record something in there that you're going to like. Why not? What you're smelling is from the water, yeah.
Yeah.
It's nitrous oxides. It goes up to there, then the shaft goes up and then goes down again. Here, a 3-story shaft would go down, but it's completely flooded. That's why you're gonna like recording it. You'll see. See how it goes down?
Whoa, this is flooded.
Yeah.
You'll have to forgive me for these last shots, but my light was already running on the little battery it had left and barely gave off any light. But I'll explain that you could see how this gallery sloped down and disappeared under the water.
Yeah, the guy goes that way, straight at Abbott. But just a bit, okay? Not much comes out either. The hole is right here, of course. Yeah, exactly.
Knock.
Where's bubbling? Oh, no, there's no hole here.
Okay, where is it?
Be careful. Go on
By a guide here, okay?
here.
I'll make it through.
Hole is here. The hole is here.
Oh, okay, so I can walk through here then. Yes, okay. Once again, my deepest thanks to Boggy and my friends from Forgotten Mines for taking me back in time like this, seeing an old mine with a real miner. It's a shame that mining is a trade that's slowly disappearing, since it's a profession with an increasingly bleak future in every sense. Also, a special thanks to Letitia for the effort she made so we could meet up, and of course to Jesus for being an excellent travel companion.